British classics are full of famous shapes. The real surprises sit under bonnets, behind dashboards, and deep in factory history. In the next 12 minutes, we move from tiny city cars to grand tourers and uncover 20 details most viewers never hear. Alec Isigonis gave the Mini a tiny nose and a huge cabin. He turned the engine sideways. He placed the gearbox in the sump beneath it. That unusual stack freed remarkable floor space. In period engineering drawings, about 80% of the car's footprint was left for people and luggage. The E-Type stunned Geneva in March 1961. Then Jaguar realized one car was not enough. Test driver Norman Dewis left Coventry after dark in a second coupe. He drove through the night across France and into Geneva by morning. The legend arrived almost as fast as the car looked. The first Land Rover wore aluminum alloy panels, not steel. Britain was still short of steel after the war. Rover used Burma-Bright, an alloy family also linked to aircraft work. The metal resisted rust in a very different way from ordinary steel. That is why early Land Rover doors, wings, and bonnets weather so distinctly. In 1966, the Jensen FF hid two breakthroughs under its long bonnet. It sent power to all four wheels all the time. It also used Dunlop Maxaret anti-lock braking. Most drivers expected this sort of hardware decades later. Jensen put it in a leather-lined Grand Tourer. The silver shadow looked discreet from the outside. Under the skin, it borrowed complex high-pressure hydraulics from Citroën. Those pumps, lines and valves helped the brakes and the self-leveling suspension. So behind the walnut dash sat one of the most continental systems ever used in a Rolls-Royce. The Lotus Elite Type 14 did not need a separate steel chassis. Its glass fiber body was the structure. Doors, roof, and wheel arches all fed into one light shell that made the little coupe advanced and delicate at the same time. In the late 1950s, almost nobody else dared to build a road car like that. The first Range Rover began as a plain two-door tool. It had flat glass, a split tailgate, and washable cabin trim. Then Paris gave it museum status. In 1971, the Louvre displayed it as industrial design. Few off-roaders have gone from muddy lane to art gallery so quickly. The Jaguar XK120 was unveiled as a show sensation. Jaguar needed it on sale before steel press tools were ready, so the earliest cars were hand-built in aluminum over ash frames. Look closely at those first roadsters and you're seeing a more coach-built Jaguar than most people realize. The Rover P6 hid sharp engineering under a sober shell, its outer panels bolted onto a strong central safety cell. A repair shop could remove a damaged front wing instead of cutting the whole body apart. It also carried de Dion rear suspension. In 1964, Europe rewarded it with the first Car of the Year title. The Triumph Stag was drawn as an open Grand Tourer, yet a thick T-bar cuts across the roof opening. Triumph expected strict American rollover rules. The bar was insurance for a market the company badly wanted. The law never landed as feared, but the Stag kept its signature hoop. The MGB looked clean and simple in 1962. Hidden in the shell were front and rear crumple zones. MG wanted a sports car that felt modern, not just pretty, so the nose and tail were designed to absorb energy before it reached the passenger cell. That safety thinking arrived earlier than many people expect. The Aston Healey Sprite Mark I was supposed to hide its headlamps. Early sketches used retractable units. Tooling costs killed the idea. Aston Healey fixed the lamps high on the bonnet instead. The cost cut created one of the most cheerful faces in British sports car history. The Bentley Blower wears its engineering argument right on its nose. Sir Henry Birkin's team bolted a giant supercharger ahead of the radiator. W.O. Bentley hated the idea and said it corrupted his engine design. Yet that exposed blower became the car's most famous visual signature. You can spot it from across a paddock. The Morris Minor was the first British car to top 1 million sales. The milestone came in 1961. Morris marked it with a lilac Minor rolling out of the factory. That small saloon had become a national object by then. Its curved wings and upright cabin were as familiar as a red pillar box. At Monte Carlo in 1966, the Mini Cooper S seemed untouchable. BMC cars crossed first, second, and third. Then the scrutineers threw them out. The issue was the exact headlamp setup and homologation paperwork. One of rallying's sharpest upsets came down to glass, bulbs, and rules. Many Morgan sports cars carried timber beneath their metal skin. Ash wood formed the body frame above the steel chassis. Coach builders liked ash because it was light, springy, and easy to shape. Open a bare Morgan shell, and the craftsmanship looks half car factory, half furniture workshop. Reliant's three-wheelers sold on more than comedy and thrift. In Britain, they were classed as tricycles for many years. That meant many drivers could use a motorcycle license. The narrow front track and single rear wheel suddenly made legal sense. A tax book and a license rule helped shape the car itself. The Aston Martin DB4 and DB5 did not use simple pressed steel shells. They used Superleggera construction from Touring of Milan. Thin alloy panels were wrapped over a light cage of small tubes. That method gave the bonnet, roof, and rear haunches their hand-formed look. Beauty in these cars was literally built over a frame. The Jaguar XKSS became rare because of fire, not just speed. Jaguar planned 25 road-going versions of the Le Mans winning D-Type. In 1957, a factory blaze at Browns Lane destroyed 9 unfinished cars. Only 16 were completed. The singed brick walls turned a fast machine into legend. The Austin 7 was tiny, but its influence was enormous. In Germany, Dixie built it under license as the 315. When BMW took over Dixie, that little British layout helped launch BMW into car production. A simple Austin shape became part of another company's origin story. That is what makes classic British cars so compelling. Even familiar shapes hide bold materials, strange packaging, and unforgettable stories. If one surprised you, the archive around these machines goes even deeper.